Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this July the 31st, 2025, last day of the second month of summertime, if you can believe this already, rapidly approaching the first day of fall. On a very exciting week in the cryptocurrency and institutions and financial world, bell notification, comment down below, like the channel and share to get the truth, trust, education, and information that you've come to expect, love, need, and deserve from the number one retail investor channel for crypto and investing advice here at the Gensels Gold Crypto Investing. Institutional titans replacing early Bitcoin holders in largest rotation ever seen. Bitcoin just absorbed 9 billion sell-off of more than 80,000 Bitcoin without breaking stride. The sell-off refers to last week's dump from just over 119 to 115,000. A Satoshi era whale, one of the few remaining OGs cashed out and marked the market barely blinked. This appears to be the climax of the largest holder rotation in Bitcoin history, which is almost complete. Every bull market requires a rotation where old hands sell into strength and new buyers step in. They said over the past 2 years, long-term institutional investors such as uh, exchanges traded. Uh, Corporations have replaced early adopters and weak hands. The old guard is being replaced by new titans with conviction. Bitcoin just absorbed 9 billion sell off, more than 80,000 coins without blinking. But the real story isn't the sell, it's what it confirms, the largest holder rotation in Bitcoin history. Are you ready for what's next? The market maturity is evident, reducing volatility and steady demand, suggesting the next major price move may come from gradual capital accumulation rather than a speculative euphoric blow off top like we've seen repeatedly. This isn't a one-off movement. It's a generational shift rotation like this builds the base for the next exponential run. Only this time, the foundation is stronger, more patient, and backed. Swan said these still waiting for a 2021 style blow off top might miss the next 10x because it's going to be a slow, steady grind. Glassnote reported that long term holder investors who held 155 days or more, not OGs, still command 53% of the supply. So it's very interesting that most of the new holders of this aren't the original people that owned it for its intended original beliefs and purpose. They've made all the money from $20 if they bought it, $100 if they bought it, $25 if they bought it, $2 if they bought it, $500 if they bought it. If the price from here on all the institutions that in the ETFs, the hedge funds that own the ETFs that have bought Bitcoin over the past, 3 to 6 months, roughly near $100,000 or more, right? Between 80 and $120,000. If for them to get a 100x move, it's got to go into tens of millions of dollars. The people already had the 100x, 1000x, 20,000x moves. The early adopters, they got rich off of it. Now, what would be one of the first times I've ever seen this, or the first time I've ever seen this, would be if there was ever a collapse in Bitcoin and all the retail and long-term 20-year holders that bought it when nobody even knew what it was, when it was hard to buy, now all cashed out for 5,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 x returns, sell it to the big hedge funds and the big institutions, and then you have a big uh, collapse, like where Bitcoin went down 90% or something crazy, right? I would never seen anything like that, which means it's more than likely headed up, right? Because now if it crashes, it would collapse. It could collapse the whole economy. Before, if it went bankrupt from 50,000 or 20,000 or 80,000, it would just be isolated into whoever invested directly into Bitcoin or other cryptos or crypto sites would be affected. Now it's infiltrated the rest of the overall economy because companies that produce products have borrowed and mortgaged and hedged and bet their companies to borrow to buy Bitcoin, right? So it would cause a catastrophic across the board. Now it would cripple, it could cause its own financial crisis now because it's infiltrated and it's intertwined in so many different areas now, right? But you can see the Bitcoin price is still in this consolidation, and we're trying to figure out if we're going to take the next road to the upside, where you can see a lot of people are talking about that $150,000 major upper resistance now, or we're going to come to the downside, right? We're on day 18 of this consolidation. The last one that this track is following had an 18-day consolidation after a similar pump. And obviously, on the way down, any kind of lower support would be the moving averages. The 50 and the 100 are short term supports, but the long term major pattern, 3 year long macro support, is this uptrending rising channel that you can see there in purple. And then, obviously, if you broke that, the 97,000 is a major area that you would have to hold, or you would likely see a big fall. And you can see how some of these tracks do come down to 73,000. That is still possible, but there's a lot of work and a lot of momentum that would have to break in order to get down there. So currently, we're just waiting to see if we want to come to the upside, or if we're going to come retest the pattern support, right? The Ethereum is the same thing. You have that megaphone pattern. Watch the video from yesterday or the day before. That's what that horizontal in red is. 4,053 and 60 cents, multi-year, 3.5, 4 year major upper resistance. Where if you break that, there's a $10,000 Ethereum megaphone breakout to the upside of technical target, right? But you have a major override resistance of 4,053 first. Your major underneath support is the top part of this green trading zone at 34.72 and 42 cents. And if you broke that to the downside for any reason, you would come down to a 50-day moving average, or this uptrending rising channel that coincides with the bottom part of the green trading zone at 3,059 is your major area. If you get below 3,400, you're short-term bearish, right? As long as you're above that, like you are now, you're short-term bullish, where you can try to break the overhead neckline at 4,053. If you get below the 3,400, you're short-term bearish, and your target becomes the 50-day moving average to the $3,059, right? If we look at the XLM, same thing as it was last night when we looked at it. You're below the 43 cents, so you're short-term bearish. And as long as you're short-term bearish, your underneath target is this 36 cents, or the top part of the screen trading zone right here, and also the 50-day moving average in the daily time frame. And if you would likely see a bounce there if you came down there, but if you're below the 43 cents, it will act like a magnet down there. If you got below the 36 cents, you would become short-term or medium term bearish, right? Instantly. And your next target would be the 30, uh, the 32, 33 cents, 31 and a half cents, the bottom part of this green trading zone, and in between the 200 and the 100-day moving average, right? If you're trying to get short-term bullish again, you got to get above the 43 cents, and that's your most critical thing. But right now, you're not able to do that with the current bearish sentiment after the big pump. Same thing with XRP. You're sitting just above still the 307, which means you're short-term bullish. But if you fail to hold this because you're right on it and you go below it, you're short-term bearish, and the price is going to act like a magnet and want to come down to the $2.55, along with the 100-day moving average, right? And that's the area you would have to hold, because if you broke below it, you would instantly become medium term bearish. And your next underneath target would be the 200-day moving average, which is going to be a pain in my behind to click. The 200-day moving average, which is way down there at $2.31. But right now, you're still above the 307, which means you can try to stay bullish short term and get up to the 376. But it's looking like it's going to threaten, it wants to, and most likely the probabilities say the next big move is coming down to $2.77, and that would flip you to short-term bearish, right? And we're going to continue to follow that. We'll continue to look at this. We'll give you a little altcoin update here in a few. Peace and love. Remember to help support the channel. $3.99 a month. It's as cheap as that to keep these daily videos free. Saying we don't want to buy that, and it helps support the channel and spread the message and movement that we're growing here. Peace and love. The Rock's eyebrow, Jay.